Hey guys, welcome to the webinar, 5 Keys to Content Marketing. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm really excited to talk with you about how you can use your content, how you can use your knowledge to connect with people, potential customers, clients, other influencers, etc. So really excited to talk about the 5 keys to content marketing today. So we're going to jump right in. The first thing we're going to talk through is what are these 5 keys. So first we're going to talk about knowing your audience, how to know who you're talking to and making sure that you're connecting to them. The second, we're going to talk about customizing content, so not using the same content across all different channels. We'll talk about value, leading with value, how much to put out there. Then we're going to talk about conversion, how to make sure that the content that you're putting out is actually converting and working for you. And then finally, we are going to end talking about priorities, how to make sure that you don't spend your entire month building content and neglect the rest of your business. So with that being said, that's a little bit of an overview of what we're going to talk about. But real quick, first an introduction. So this is me. My name is Brette Rowley. I'm a business strategist, consultant, entrepreneurship advocate in general. I'm obsessed with building businesses. I'm also the creator of a Side Hustle Starter Kit, which is an online course that is closed for enrollment right now, but will be reopening in a couple of months, but really focused on how to help brand new entrepreneurs get their businesses up and running. More importantly, I am also a personal assistant to my dog Melly, and that is her giving her best side eye, which is really her pretty constant state of being. So that's me, so you know who you're talking to or listening to. And I'm looking forward to sharing with you a little bit about how I build my content, how I use it to my advantage, and how you can do the same in your business. So I love this quote. It says, "Content marketing is the only marketing that's left." And it's by Seth Godin, who has written several books. And this is such a true statement, because if you think about yourself and how you consume content, whether it's watching Netflix or on Facebook or any social media channels, do you listen to ads? Do you look at the advertisements on your Facebook feed? Do you, Netflix obviously doesn't have ads. They've completely eliminated it. So this generation, and really all others going forward, we really have a good eye for advertising, and we know when we're trying to be sold to. So that's the beauty of content marketing, is that you can really kind of disguise your advertising or your marketing efforts as value sharing, as content that you're providing for people to consume. So you don't need to be kind of outright advertising and saying, hey, buy my product or hire me to do this service. You can create content that sells yourself for you. So that's what Seth, I think, is speaking to, in that the only marketing that matters is that which connects to your audience, and content marketing is the best way to do that. The second quote that I want to start out with is by Craig Davis, and it says, "We need to stop interrupting what people are interested and be what people are interested in." And this kind of is along the same lines, in not wanting to be disruptive and not wanting to say, hey, stop what you're doing and look at my advertisement, but instead build content, build articles, build videos, build social media channels that are what people are interested in, that keep people coming back. And I think that it, again, speaks to the importance of focusing on the content marketing aspect of your business. An analyst firm was quoted as saying, "The buyer journey is nothing more than a series of questions to be answered." Now, this is a quote that I want you to kind of keep in the back of your mind as we're going through the content, because if you think about your personal customers or your clients, how they interact with you, how they go from knowing that you exist to becoming a customer or becoming a client, what questions do they have along that journey? And how can you use your content? How can you use your blog, your website, your social media channels to answer those questions and eliminate those concerns? Because that's ultimately what we want to do, right? We want to smooth the process from people knowing that you exist to hiring you. And if we identify what questions those are that they have, maybe it's, I'm not sure if this is the right service for me, or if I'm not sure if, I can get this for a better price, or whatever those questions are that you find that your customers have, using content to build out the answers to that so they can answer them for themselves is going to not only bring more people to your door, but also quicken that customer lifecycle process. So they're going to go from knowing, being introduced to you to becoming a client much quicker through the content that you create. And finally, I wanted to share this kind of statistic. Content marketing provides 4 times the ROI of our traditional marketing spend. And this is a VP of marketing for Neustar. And I thought this was so telling. I think that content marketing is something that a lot of people struggle with, especially small business owners who are, kind of overwhelmed with all of the other things that they need to do in their business, and writing a blog post seems like the first thing to fall off the to-do list. But if we identify not only that it's valuable, but if we can track the results of the content marketing that you're putting together, it's much easier to devote time and energy and investment into your content strategy if you know the results that you're getting from it. And we'll talk about that a little bit towards the end of the webinar about how to measure what you're doing, the importance of doing that, and how to make that easy so that you're, again, not spending your whole month putting together your content strategy. So we're going to jump right in. That first kind of key of the 5 keys of content marketing is knowing your audience. And I think the biggest takeaway that I want you guys to remember from this section is that your content is about your customer, not you. So going back to that quote about, the customer journey is a series of questions, that's what we're speaking to here. Your content should be consumer focused, not focused on you. Now, that's not to say that you can introduce yourself and share a little bit about your life within your social channels and that type of thing. But really what you want to do is, I like to think about it as a mirror. You want people to land on your social channels, to land on your blog and say, how did she or how did he know what I was talking about? How did he know what I was thinking about? So those are the people that I follow on Instagram. Those are the people that I, follow their blogs or consume their content, are people that speak directly to me, are providing value and seem to know what I'm looking for. So remember that your content is about your consumer and not necessarily about you. And that's kind of a tough pill to swallow. So when you're thinking about your consumer, I like to think in terms of goals and challenges, right? So what are they striving for and how can you help them achieve it? So that's kind of the positive route to go. When you're creating content, how can you help them achieve whatever their goals are? So I always like to encourage my clients to sit down and write a list, just kind of brainstorm, free thought, everything that your client wants. What are they striving for? And then you can go back to that and fill in the blanks and say, okay, how can I help them do that? And what are some articles that I can write that's going to help them there? Or what are some videos that I can record that are going to address how they can reach their goals? On the other side of that coin are the challenges that they're faced with. So they have these goals, but then what are the roadblocks that are keeping them from achieving them? Because your clients obviously have roadblocks, if they're seeking out help, if they are looking for answers, if they're looking for you to kind of come help them, or even if it's something as simple as, you're selling a product and they're looking for that product and haven't found what they want yet. That's a challenge, right? So what are the roadblocks to their goals and how can you help them overcome those roadblocks? So again, make a list, write down as many challenges as you can think of that your ideal customer or your ideal client is faced with. And then that gives you a plethora of topics to be able to draw from when we're talking about creating your content calendar a little bit later in the webinar. You can go right back to that list and say, okay, how can I help them address these challenges? How can I help them reach their goals? On a more kind of standard level, we also want to talk about demographics. You want to know who you're talking to when it comes to where they're located, what is their gender, what work do they do, how old are they, what does their family look like. You're going to want to know these kind of basic demographic information for a couple of reasons. One, it's going to help you identify with your customer. So when you're writing content for them, when you are creating videos, when you're posting on social media, you know who you're talking to. I like to help my clients build a persona, right? So, and we'll give it a name. So we'll name her Sarah, or we'll name her Joe, and that's kind of their ideal client that they're reaching to. And we'll build out what their whole life looks like. So they're located in this town. It's a woman between the age of 30 and 35. She works from home. And she's got one kid and is probably going to be pregnant within the next year. Whatever those details are for your business, create a persona. And that helps me, personally, when I'm recording videos or when I'm even this webinar right now, I know who I'm talking to. And so I can customize what I'm saying. It makes it much more natural for me to feel like it's a conversation when I know my persona, when I know who I'm typically talking to. And you can apply the same thing in your business. The other thing that I will say when it comes to demographics and also the goals and challenges that we just talked about was it gives you the opportunity to connect on a deeper level. So like I was saying, you want people to feel like they connect with you instantly, like your channels are a mirror and they're seeing themselves in you. This is how you do that. And it's through research and knowing who you're talking to. The last thing in terms of researching and kind of knowing your audience is logistically, where do they consume their content? So what I mean by that is, are they on Facebook more often than they are Instagram? Do they watch TV on Netflix or do they still have cable? Are they receiving print magazines? Knowing the channels that they look to in order to get their information, in order to, if they have 10 minutes while they're waiting in the doctor's office, or, if they have a couple minutes before dinner, where are they going to kind of both amuse themselves to get entertainment and also to seek out information? You can get this information a couple of different ways. One, you might know. So a lot of people have a really good grasp on their target market, and they know, okay, they're probably on Instagram more than they are Twitter, or, for my corporate clients, a lot of times they are more active on LinkedIn and Twitter than they are on Facebook and Instagram. So you might have a good feel for it. Another way to do some research is to pull together a focus group. So find 5 of your best clients that you're like, if I could just copy and paste this client over and over again, I would be in great shape. And say, hey, would you mind taking a quick survey or just have a quick 5-minute conversation with them and say, hey, where do you spend your time? What apps do you have on your phone? What websites do you go to? Do you receive magazines at all? Give them a little bit of a questionnaire or an interview style where you can pull information from them. And that way that'll help you duplicate the results that you've gotten in finding those clients and find similar customers. All right, so now that we know who our clients are, who our audience is, the next thing we want to talk about is being relatable. And this is what I was, as I've mentioned, kind of that mirror analogy, or, really reflecting your customers and your content. This is where this comes into play. We want to be relatable. And I think that there are 3 big areas where we can relate to our customers through our content. The first is tone. So are you cheeky and funny? Are you more serious? Are you sarcastic? What tone is going to resonate most with your audience? And this is where you want to blend a little bit of your own personality into what your audience is looking for. So you certainly don't want to be robotic and just say, okay, well, my audience is professional, so I have to be all buttoned up. If you are more sarcastic or have a lighter tone, then definitely use that. But keep your audience in mind when you determine what type of tone you want to share in your content. For me personally, I try to be very real with my audience. I try to kind of strip away corporate speak, and occasionally you'll find that I cuss in my content, or I really speak like I do in meetings with my clients. And so find that happy medium for you and create a tone that's consistent through your blog posts, through your social media, through your videos that you're creating, and have that consistent tone so that when people find you on those different channels, they feel like, oh, okay, if I've read a blog post of yours, then I already know what your social media channels are going to be like. I know how you're going to talk. I know how you kind of relate to your customers. The second thing in terms of being relatable are the topics, right? How can you relate best to your customers through the topics that you cover? That goes back to goals and challenges, plain and simple. Finding out, okay, what's important to them and how can I make their lives easier? Again, it's very customer focused. And we'll talk a little bit, we'll dig a little bit deeper into topics and how to build out full content calendars. But just keeping in mind that you want to be consumer focused when it comes to your topics and be relatable, so that people both are searching for you online and also once they find you, they're going to dig a little bit deeper. The third thing when it comes to being relatable is the format, right? So how does your audience best consume content? Do they like videos? Do they like short lists? Do they like how-to tutorials? What is the format that's going to be most beneficial to them? And really build your content around that. So that leads me right into customizing our content. So all platforms are not created equal. And I know you guys know this, but I want to touch on how I kind of break up my content. So obviously there are hundreds, literally, of different platforms that you can share content on these days. I'm going to go through the top 8, or what my clients typically use most often, and share how I customize my content for that specific platform. So here's the top 8 that we're going to go through. We're going to talk about Instagram, Facebook, Instagram Stories, YouTube, Twitter, a blog, email marketing, and LinkedIn. So those are kind of the 8 platforms that we're going to cover real quick when we're talking about customizing content. And what I want to get across here is that each platform, again, is not created equal. So what you share on Instagram is probably not going to be effective in a blog post. What you write on LinkedIn, you're not going to want to share on Twitter. And so how do you customize your content without recreating everything? You don't have to start from scratch, but how do you customize your content to be appropriate for each channel? So let's start with Instagram. Obviously, there's a focus on imagery when it comes to Instagram. You want to have great photos. I like to have a pretty consistent feed. So that's why I put this note here. Consider individual posts and your feed. Think about your Instagram account when people click over to your feed as another homepage, right? They get a glance. There's a little bio, and they get a glance at what your feed is like. So you keep that in mind when you're posting and kind of look at the feed as well as your individual posts. Instagram is great because you can broaden your reach with hashtags. Of course, this is I know this is kind of basic level, but hashtags are key because you want to strike kind of a middle ground. You don't want to overdo the hashtags and find the, huge, massive hashtags that you're never going to rank for. What you want to do is find kind of niche hashtags. So what are you talking about that you can kind of own a topic and start to implement those hashtags? And the fourth with Instagram is huge with engagement. So set aside time, whether it's 10 minutes a day, right when you get into the office or right before you leave the office, to reply to comments, to go find other influencers or creatives or business owners on Instagram, and find out, start to build relationships through Instagram. Now, we'll talk about how we can kind of cross-pollinate some of these channels. But with Instagram, I typically promote my blog posts, I promote my videos, but I take little snippets so that people don't have to click over and read my blog post to get value. So I'll say, hey, here's one point that I made in this blog. If you want more, here's where you can go to find that. So Instagram's a little bit of a catch-all for the other types of content that I share. It's also where I can share more personal posts, like when I got engaged or, birthdays, and those types of things are great to share on Instagram as well, so people feel like they get to know you. The last thing I'll say when it comes to Instagram is I typically prefer having a personal contact on Instagram. So what I mean by that is if you have a brand, if you're running a boutique, or if you have some type of a storefront or a brand that you're not necessarily the face of, then certainly it's appropriate to create branded content. But if you're a solopreneur, or if you're selling, if you provide services, I like to have that personal account versus a business name because it's much easier to engage. You're going to get a lot more traction that way. All right, so let's talk about Facebook. Facebook is great because for a couple different reasons. One, it's got a great format for video. Not only is Facebook promoting video more often, it's going to show it more often in your news feed, but it also is a great tool to share links. Obviously, Instagram, there's a little bit of a challenge when it comes to links because you can't include them in your posts themselves. So Facebook is a great way to share if you have links to features that you've been in or articles that you've written. Facebook is perfect for that. Just take a little snippet of the article and post the link underneath. I also use Facebook to share partner content, which is a great way to kind of fill my feed if I'm not as active on Facebook as I really feel like I should be. But the two things that Facebook I think is most valuable for: promotions and advertisements. So obviously running Facebook ads, if that's something that fits into your business model, this is the place to do it. And then exclusive groups. So that's actually where I think Facebook is going, and if it's not already there, are these groups and communities within Facebook. So whether you're engaging in groups where your target audience is, or you're creating your own group, I think this is an area to explore when it comes to sharing content on Facebook. All right, Instagram Stories. So I love Instagram Stories. I love it for my clients, and I think that this is the perfect avenue to share behind the scenes. So a little bit of your process or your day-to-day life. I personally like it to be shorter, raw video. So not super overdone, not a ton of production value. You can do it right from your smartphone. But I think it's great to share kind of your day-to-day as you're going through building your business, as you're going through helping clients, as you're going through the process of creating your products. Whatever that is, behind the scenes footage that you are able to share, I think Instagram Stories is perfect for this. I also really love it for the opportunity to ask questions and create polls, which is one of the newer features. So like earlier when we were talking about wondering if your audience watches Netflix or cable, or if your audience prefers Instagram to Facebook, this is the perfect way to kind of do a little bit of testing. The last thing is with Instagram Stories is, of course, linking. So if you have more than 10,000 followers on Instagram, you can link from stories. So that's where you can share your blog posts. You can share links to videos if you're active on YouTube, which leads us to the next topic. YouTube, a lot of my clients use it for vlogs or long-form video tutorials. So if you are sharing content and you have something come up where your clients are like, how do you do this? And you keep getting the question over and over again. Great opportunity to create a video tutorial on YouTube. I like my YouTube videos to be a little bit more edited than my Instagram stories, to be a little bit more professional and polished. Here's the thing about YouTube, and I don't have it on this list, but it acts as a search engine. What that means for you is you can identify those goals and challenges of your target market, and when they search for that, if they type in Google how to create a social media post in Canva, or how to plan a wedding, or how to, whatever these topics are that you know that your audience is struggling with, when they type that into Google, YouTube videos that address those topics pop up because YouTube ties in with Google and acts as a search engine. That's a huge opportunity for you to reach new customers and share valuable content that they are going to be interested in. Twitter obviously is less focused on images. It's great really to establish credibility and connect with experts. So Twitter, most of my clients that are speakers or that are experts in their field, they spend a lot of time on Twitter. If you have a brand or you're selling a product, it might be for you, but it's probably going to be more focused on Instagram and Facebook for those more visual aspects. But Twitter is a great way to engage with experts. It's also great if you're reaching out to try to find partners or to say, hey, can I interview you for a blog post? We'll talk about that in a later slide, but finding experts to engage with, Twitter can be valuable there. All right, so let's talk about your blog. So long form articles, of course, are going to go on your blog. The key here is share value. You want to make sure that, one, your blog posts are worth the read. People are investing time in reading your posts, make sure that you're sharing value. The other thing is link from other platforms. So not only can you share your blog posts on your Facebook or your Instagram, but you can embed links to those platforms within your blog posts as well. So say, hey, I talked about this in this Instagram post, or I talked about this on this Facebook post, and link within your blog. Obviously, this is for more in-depth content. Blogs have been around for a while, so people are pretty comfortable with the concept. What I do when I share my blog posts, I take little snippets, like I mentioned, take little snippets of value, little quotes, and I share them throughout my social channels. Your email platform should be these three things: individualized, automated, and curated. So one, it should be individualized. You should be able to send emails to your customers that are extremely relevant to them, because that's the only way email is getting through these days. You've got to be really relevant. You've got to know, okay, within the customer life cycle that we talked about earlier, what questions have I already answered for them? So let's say, I'll use myself as an example. The first step for most of my clients is to just schedule a call with me, and we'll talk about their business, what they're challenged with, and how I may be able to help. So within my email list, I have a list of people that haven't yet scheduled a call, that are just kind of my general, they get my blogs, they consume my content. They probably aren't great candidates for becoming a client, but I love to share, and they probably have, interest in taking my online course or doing something along those lines. The next group of clients that I have are those that have scheduled a call but didn't become a client. So that means I talked to them once, maybe twice, and for whatever reason, it didn't move forward. They get a totally different type of content than the first group, because I know they have a specific set of challenges. We've had a personal conversation before, so they get a different kind of tone and set of emails than that first group. And then same thing for my actual clients that I've worked with for a long time. So making sure that your email marketing is individualized is key. The second thing, automated. Quite frankly, the more that you can set it up and forget it, the better off you are. So whether that it means automated sequences for every step of your sales funnel, or automated sequences when people buy a specific product from you, whatever the case may be, automating it and forgetting it is the only way to maximize your time when it comes to emails. Finally, it should be curated. So I get a lot of questions about email newsletters, and the biggest thing that I can recommend for email newsletters is to make it super curated and have a ton of value. If you are trying to sell through your email newsletters, you're going to get a really low open rate, really low engagement rate. If you're providing value and you curate not only your own content, but content from elsewhere, you have a better chance of engaging with your audience and hopefully moving them to the next step. Finally, LinkedIn, again, is fairly corporate, much more polished than an Instagram Stories or even Instagram. It's a place to establish credibility. I really like Instagram for the ability to publish articles. So if you're trying to establish your authority in a particular topic, I really encourage my clients to publish articles through LinkedIn's platform in addition to their blog. It's also great because it can be industry specific. So you can be really targeted to who you are reaching out to. Value. So you can see I have here, it's what really matters. And it truly is. We are inundated. If you think about your own news feed, your own email inbox, your own social media channels, we are inundated with content. The only way, and I repeat, the only way that you are able to break through is by providing a ton of value. I get this question a lot, and it is, how much value should I share? I don't want to give away everything that I know, because then why would they hire me? And this is a myth, because if you think about it this way, and I kind of made this graphic, how much you know is this huge triangle of information. And you can see the very bottom, just a little bit at the tip, is how much you should hold back. The rest you should share. And the reason that I recommend this is twofold. One, people can tell when you're holding back. And it seems, in this day and age where people can find anything on the internet, it seems cheap when you're holding back. So I like to give. The other thing to think about is your audience. Your ideal customer is not the DIY customer. So if you provide a service for someone, your customer is not going to be the one that's going to try and do it themselves. Your customer is the one that has too much else going on and they want you to do it for them. That's why when you provide value, you're only establishing credibility. If there are a few people that take the information that you share and do it themselves, great, you've helped them. They were never going to be your customer anyway. So I'm a big proponent of sharing as much as possible. The only thing that I kind of hold back, or that I tell my clients to hold back, if there's anything proprietary, so if there's anything that is specific to them that they don't want competitors to get a hold of, that's something that I wouldn't share. Obviously, client information and kind of those more sensitive topics, you're going to want to hold that back too. But in reality, you want to give, and then when the time comes to ask, to say, hey, I'm running a special, come buy this from me, or I've got a new product or a new service, then you've given them so much content, there's no way they're going to go elsewhere to buy whatever it is that you're selling. They might not buy it right now, but if you continue to serve, then when the time comes for your customer to make a purchase decision, you are going to be the obvious and only answer. And the only way that you're going to establish that is through value that you provide. All right, let's talk conversion, because this is what really matters, right? If you spend time creating content, you want to see conversions. Followers don't do us any good. We want to see clients. Now, always start, when it comes to conversion, always start with a specific goal. So say, okay, I'm gonna invest X number of hours, I'm going to invest X number of dollars into my content marketing strategy. What do I need to see out of that in order for me to say that this was successful? Is it 2 new clients? Is it 30 sales? Is it whatever that number looks like for you? Set a specific goal so that you can track towards it. Now, how do you actually create conversions in your content? With a call to action. Now, we are really tempted, and I'm guilty of it too, to just use the same call to action over and over again. Schedule a call with me, shop here, take my assessment, whatever that first step is that you want people to do to get them to buy from you. I want to encourage you to take a step back and think about what is the next logical step that people should take. So if you're sharing an Instagram post with a tip about whatever it is that you do, maybe the next logical step isn't for them to email you to set up a call. Maybe the next step is, hey, click a link and learn more. Think about that customer journey again, the questions that they have. People very rarely are going to see information from you on Instagram or on a social media or even your blog and pick up the phone and call you. You've got to walk them through a set process. So think about, what is the next logical step that people should take? Is it to email you? Is it just simply to comment? Hey, tell me what you're struggling with this week. Is it to click a link, to follow you? Or there are opportunities where you can have that more direct call to action and say, give me a call. Those are your more promotional posts where you're saying, I've got this special running. If you want to take advantage of it, you need to call now. I would recommend keeping those, few and far between when it comes to those super promotional posts. You want to optimize. So when it comes to conversion, you want to optimize the content that you are sharing. So of course, making sure that your SEO is up to date, that is optimized. There's tons of WordPress plugins that you can use that will make this fairly automatic. Obviously, you want to share and reshare your content. Make sure that you're duplicating what you're creating across all of your channels, just in its own particular format, like we talked about earlier. Creating outbound links, and then engaging. So again, whether it's the first part of your day or the last part of your day, how can you set aside time to engage, leave comments, reply to questions, that type of thing. All right, tracking results. How do we track results for our content marketing? It goes back to your goal. So depending on what your specific goal was, that's what you're going to want to track. I typically look at it on a weekly basis. So I keep a spreadsheet of, this is the growth that I'm looking to see through my content marketing efforts. And that way I can track on a weekly basis what's working and what's not working. do whatever, is best for your business. I also would say within however you manage your clients, making a note of when clients come through from content marketing so that you can, appropriately credit the work that you're doing and writing blog posts and sharing social media with the sale that you've made. All right, last but not least, we are going to talk about priorities. This is the fifth key to content marketing. Give content a proportionate focus in your business. And by proportionate, I mean you should tie it to the results that you're seeing. If you are not seeing results for whatever reason, don't keep going down that path. You need to adjust or abandon the strategy. So first, setting a strategy will help you align your goals with your capabilities and stay on track. So if you know I'm not going to be able to write a blog post every day, don't set a plan to write a blog post every day. Be realistic. The second thing I would recommend is schedule your posts by the week or month so that you can focus on other priorities. How many of us have sat in front of our cell phones and said, oh my God, I need to post something on Instagram today, but I have no idea what I'm going to post, and spent way longer than we need to trying to figure that out. So setting a strategy and creating a calendar are going to be huge when it comes to allowing the appropriate amount of time towards content marketing. Then what I want you to do is to set it and forget it. Schedule your posts, schedule your blogs, create your videos, post your videos, and then forget about it. Automate as much as you can, whether it's a tool like Sendable or Buffer or just a calendar that you're using. Set it and forget it so that you can move on to other initiatives within your business. All right, so those are the 5 keys to content marketing. And the next step, so I always like to give, I don't want to leave you guys with this content and not have a next step to take. So I have a 5-day challenge that I'm running right now, and it is going to walk you through how to create next month's content in 5 hours over the next week, so we can go right back to that set it and forget it idea. You're also going to get my content calendar sample, so you can just steal that and plug in your content. So if you want to join the challenge, there's a button below. Just join right there. Again, it's going to be 5 hours of your time over the next week, and then you'll be able to forget your content for the month and just rinse and repeat with the next month. So I hope you'll join me. Again, the link is below if you want to join. Otherwise, if you have questions for me or want to talk through something that we didn't cover today, here is where I can be reached. And my email is just brett@bretterowley.com. So if you can spell my name, you can get in touch with me. Thanks again for joining today, and I will catch you on the next one.